Hello guys, welcome to the fifth video tutorial on PHP programming for beginners. And in this video, we are going to see how to use and declare variables in PHP. So till now, in the last video, I've shown you how to write your hello world first program and how to provide comment to your program, right? And by the way, make sure that your Apache server is running using your control panel, XAMPP control panel, and you are able to see this parent directory. In my case, this was YouTube, which I have made in my htdoc folder, right? And in the last video, I have made one PHP file to test my hello world program. Okay, now in this video I'm going to make a new file, so I will just click new. I will save it as a variable.php. Okay, and once again when I refresh my program, I will be able to see this variable.php, but right now it's blank. Okay, so first of all I will just write my skeleton, and it will end like this, right? And let's see how variable works in PHP. Okay, so in PHP, variable or PHP variables must begin with and sign. Okay, so if you are used to some other variable declaration, if you have learned C or C++ or Java and or any other programming language, you are used to using data type of the variable first and then the name, and then you can assign the value to it. But in PHP, all variables start with this and symbol and they don't start with any data type. PHP interprets their value by the initialization they get. Okay, and so let's see how we can declare a variable. First of all, what is a variable? A variable is a container for some value. Okay, so variable is something that stores your value. Okay, so in PHP we just need to define this and then the name of your variable. So for example, I can name my variable as value, for example, and I can initialize this value by a number or a string. So I will initialize this value by a number, for example, and by this initialization your variable knows, or PHP knows, that this variable, which is value, is of type integer, right? In the same way, for example, I can declare a name. For example, this is the name of my variable, and I can initialize this by a string. So I can just write programming knowledge. Okay, so by this initialization, PHP knows that name is a string variable, and by this initialization, PHP knows that our value is an integer initialization or integer value, right? So unlike other languages, PHP doesn't provide any data type, right? It only starts with this and symbol, and it is decided by the initialization of the variable what type it is. Okay, now PHP variables are case sensitive, so you can see that this variable with a capital B OO is not equal to this one. I just need to change this should be small b. Okay, so let me change this. So this boo, which starts with capital B, is not equal to this boo, which starts with small b, and this is even not equal to this bool. So PHP variables are case sensitive. Okay. Now global and locally scoped variable. Global variable you can use it anywhere in the program, and the local variable we can use inside a function or a class that we will see later. Okay. And some of the variable names are reserved in PHP, like post underscore post in capital letters, underscore get in capital letters. These are form variables, and in a similar way some server variables are reserved, so you cannot declare a variable which is same as this server, right, in capital. So some of the variables are reserved in PHP, right? Now we move further. Let's see the usage of this variable. So I have already shown you, whatever you provide the value of variable, it's called that variable. So if you initialize a variable with a numerical value, it will be called a numerical variable. And if you initialize your variable by a string value, it will be called string variable. Okay. And these variables you can perform some multiplication or arithmetic operations, but on string values you cannot do these values, because string you cannot multiply or divide or add them together, right? So let's see this also. So for example, I want to multiply this by some value, so I can write and then the value is equal to, and so whenever you use this value you need to initialize this by and, so you know that this is a value, right? So you can do it like this. You don't need to provide any space in between, and you can multiply this value by, for example, 8, like this. Okay. And it will be completely valid. But so let's try and run the program. I will save it and I will just refresh this, and right now there is nothing printed and no error is coming. That means our variable is I mean not giving any error, right? No result, because we are not printing anything right now. That's why we are not seeing any result, but it's not giving any error, right? But on the other hand, for example, I want to multiply this name variable, which is a string variable, by the initialization. So I can do something like this, and I want to multiply by this name by 8, for example. This will not be valid, because your variable is a string and you cannot multiply it by some number. So whenever I try to run this, it will show me error. Use of undefined name, assume name in this. Okay. So in this way it will show or throw an error whenever you perform some invalid operations, right? So you can only do arithmetic operation on numerical values. Okay. So this is this one, it will show an invalid expression, right? Now I've already shown you in the last video what echo does. Echo is a command or a function you can use to output the parameter passed to it. Okay. So the typical usage of for this is to send data to the client browser. Okay. So we have seen this example, but we will see this in detail also. And its syntax is like this: void echo, and it takes the string argument, right? And by default, the functions in PHP takes argument in parentheses, but because it's a inbuilt parameter or inbuilt function in PHP, you don't need to give these parentheses in case of this echo. And let's see how we can use echo in PHP. So for example, if you want to echo the value of this bar, so I can just use this echo like this, echo, and in the double quotes you can just pass this name with including this and symbol, okay, and end with semicolon, and save this and run it once again, and I can see the name programming knowledge here, right? In a similar way, I can print, for example, I want to print this value and this value side by side. What I can do here is I can just use it like this. You don't even need to use these double quotes here, and you just need to use this comma, and you can print these two values side by side by using separated by this comma also, okay. And when I run the program, it will give the result hopefully like this. You see programming knowledge, and the value is 200 because we have multiplied our value by 8. So 25 multiplied by 8 is 200, and 200 will be printed here, okay. And in the case of variable, if you want to print only the variable, you don't need to use these double quotes. But if even you use this double quotes, it will not make much of a difference, okay. Now for example, if you want to print this value in addition with some your values, for example your strings, you can do it like this, echo, and for example you want to give 25 multiplied by 8 is equal to, and you want to give this value, right, whatever is the value of your value. So you can just write comma and the value, and it will give you the result, okay. I will just comment these out so that only the value of this will be printed. So I will save it, and once I run this, I see this result, 25 into 8 is equal to 200. So this is the value, and this is the string we have printed, okay. So this will be the static value. This is just a string we have uh, we wanted to print, but this is the value, actual value you are printing here, right? You can even print the same thing without using commas. So you can just exclude comma here, and you can just include this inside your double quotes, and the result will be the same. So I will just comment this out, save it, and let's refresh our program, and the result is same, right? So you can use this value to print like this using comma separator, or you can use it like this. But for example, if you want to echo in something in uh, something using single quotes, for example, I will echo the same value using single quotes. Single quotation is just like this, not the double quotation. I'll remove these double quotations. Then what will happen? Whatever you include in single quotes, let's see first of all the result. I will comment this out and save it, and once again run this. You only will be able to see this value. That means whatever you print or whatever you write in single quote, the value of that will be taken literally. Literally means whatever you will include inside your single quote, it will be printed as it is. It will not render this variable as the value 200. it will be printed like this. But on the other hand, when you use double quotes, your value will be rendered from here, whatever is the value, finalized value of it, and it will be printed. So always use single quote when you want to print something literally as it is, and you can use double quotes whenever you want to print the value of the variable or something like this. So in this way you can use variables and echo function in your PHP programming. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now.